Hey everybody, your host SonGoshuaku live, and I have to say, when it comes to WWE SummerSlam 2024, there was not a bad match at all on this show. Every single match had really great storytelling aspects to it. I'm going to break it down all right here now. So, we're going to kick things off with the very first match for the WWE Women's World Championship, Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley. Alright, so Rhea Ripley, she was basically dominating from the first part of this whole match, and Liv Morgan, she made a comeback with Rhea, and she ends up crashing, when Rhea ends up crashing her shoulder basically into the mat, dislocating it, and that was the story throughout the match. Now eventually Rhea, she ends up popping her shoulder back into place when she slams it into the announce table. There's a lot of great back and forth action from here, and towards the end, there's a steel chair that Rhea Ripley tries to go ahead and, go ahead and destroy Liv Morgan after everything that she's done. And Dominik, he ends up taking it away from her, and the commentators do a good job of reinforcing that, hey, this is a great move from Dominik because Rhea can't win back her women's championship if she gets herself disqualified. This, after all, is not the Seth Rollins referee rules that we would see later in the night. But however, this ends up taking quite a play into the, this ends up taking quite the turn, if you will, as the match goes on. So from here, Dominik actually throws in the steel chair, and Liv Morgan's able to hit the Oblivion to Rhea Ripley onto that chair. Very similar to the way that Liv Morgan actually won that championship against Becky Lynch. And of course, this leads to Liv Morgan getting the 1, 2, 3. And a lot of the commentators are playing up, is this accident? But as we can see to some of the camera shots they had, you see Dominik is kind of smirking. And I think a lot of us longtime WWE fans, we knew exactly where this was gonna go. And well, next thing you know, while Liv Morgan is on the ground getting her championship, it is Dominik who picks her up and goes ahead and plants a big wet one right on her mouth. Hard kiss right in front of Rhea Ripley, and Rhea is livid, angry, everything you could think of to describe how angry she was. And this is where you're getting Dominik smiling, and the commentators, they just go all off. They clearly took advantage that they were not on Fox to get completely censored and blacked out, throwing every swear word from the S-bombs that they could imagine, and we end up getting the crowd is chanting boos for Liv and Dominik. So Dominik and Liv, they walk off, and Dominik flips off the crowd, and it was basically all a setup. Dominik was in cahoots with Liv Morgan all this time. And I'm, like I said, if you're a longtime WWE fan, then we've seen so many stories. If you've watched it from the 80s or a kid like me from the 90s, you've seen these stories and how they play out. And so there we go. I was joking around with my friends that basically, if you look at the way this relationship between Rhea Ripley started and Dominik, the way it started between the both of them, Rhea kind of had it coming a lot, right? She abused Dominik Mysterio, constantly beating him up until he agreed to be in a relationship with her. That's kind of how the story was. And so Dominik has now outsmarted mommy, and there you go. And when you look at the way the story was progressing while Rhea was gone, Liv Morgan really was treating Dominik with more love and respect, whereas it's kind of like Rhea, she was the dominant one, and she wanted Dominik to be subservient to her. But Liv was the opposite. No, she wanted to treat Dominik like he was a king, and he even got more success defeating his father for the first time under Liv Morgan's guidance compared to Rhea Ripley. So I'll talk more about on why I think it was time for Rhea, obviously in stuff, and where they're going with Damian Priest a little bit later, as it plays into that story as well. And this, of course, led to Damian Priest and Finn Balor. Man, they were having this whole back and forth, and Damian was just livid with what was going on with Dominik Mysterio, and they couldn't find him for the rest of the show. So overall, this was good, and I think it was the right outcome because you just can't have Rhea Ripley come back and defeat Liv Morgan, and the story's done. You go on to the next thing. No, this is one of the hottest stories they've got going on in WWE, and I think Liv Morgan, booked under Triple H as champion, has been far more effective in terms of being more entertaining and being able to live up to her true potential of what she can do as a performer, compared to the last time that Vince McMahon had booked her as the champion. So I'm loving this story. story. The story is hot right now in WWE, so you might as well keep it going, as you can now play up this for the entire fall, as this now submits Rhea Ripley as a babyface, and hey, this can lead to the women's Hell in a Cell match at Bad Blood, and you have Rhea Ripley get the championship back there. So phenomenal storytelling, really love the match, and yeah, definitely I think the right outcome. All right, so we go on to the next match for the WWE Intercontinental Championship. Sami Zayn versus Bron Breakker. So basically, yeah, this was a rather short match. That was more or less the previous match that they had at Money in the Bank a month prior. Bron looked like a complete total beast, and he was amazing, explosive, quick, with his amazing athleticism. And Sami Zayn, he looked great being the underdog, trying to overcome Bron Breakker. What I really liked, though, when it came to how all this stuff worked with Sami in the previous match, was that Bron Breakker was very good at evading a lot of Sami's offense, showing that he had learned from when Sami was how Sami had beat him the previous time, because I think he used the haluva kick, and Bron was just dodging all his attacks, basically learning, being a student of the game, learning from his mistakes, and that's what you do to create a very smart character on this show, that if they do lose, they come back even better than ever. And of course, Braun Strowman, I mean, I'm thinking Braun Strowman, there's a lot of Brons in this company, but Bron Breakker, he ends up going ahead, running back and forth at an insane amount of speed when it comes to doing the spear, hitting Sami, getting the 1, 2, 3 to become the new WWE Intercontinental Champion. What I really like about this, just sticking focus on the Intercontinental Championship for the longest time. How many times, especially in the 20-teens decade, which, you know, was Vince McMahon's later years of booking creative, it felt often like someone would win the Intercontinental Championship, and I know I always was hoping that, okay, hopefully they can elevate the Intercontinental title to make it mean something, and then they don't. Here in the last 2 years, between Gunther's championship reign, Sami Zayn's championship reign, we've had 2 Intercontinental Championship reigns that have meant something over the last 2 years, and I'm assuming that Bron Breakker is going to end up being that, and I'm glad. Bron Breakker is exactly the type that should win this tournament. I mean, no, not tournament, but should win the Intercontinental Championship. I say tournament because I'm really loving the idea of getting back to the Intercontinental Championship being the workhorse championship that preps a superstar for a world championship reign. And that's what we got out of Gunther winning the King of the Ring tournament, which is why I accidentally said tournament. So yeah, this is great. I do say, hey, why not do this here? Why not just wait to SummerSlam for the first match and have Bron Breakker win? But they had Sami get his win. I guess they wanted to give Sami a big win in his because I think they were in Canada, so they wanted to give him a big win in Canada and then have Bron Breakker come back. But yeah, this doesn't hurt Sami Zayn at all, because going back, I thought, like I said in my WrestleMania review and WrestleMania ranking series for WrestleMania 40, I thought Sami Zayn should have definitely been the one to not take on Gunther. It should have been Chad Gable, because Sami's been Intercontinental Champion multiple times. I'd rather see the story of Sami going for that world title. But yeah, this won't hurt Sami. Bron Breakker, excellent choice to be the Intercontinental Champion. All right, so our next match was for the WWE United States Championship. Logan Paul versus LA Knight. Yeah! Man, so we start things off with Machine Gun Kelly, who I don't think I've seen on WWE programming since Kevin Owens powerbombed him off the stage on Monday Night Raw almost 10 years ago. But yeah, he comes out accompanying Logan Paul, who gets heavily booed in his own hometown. Obviously, if you've been following the controversy on Twitter with Logan Paul, just one more reason why you can easily see why people don't like him. As I said, I don't really follow Logan Paul, but it was everywhere basically hearing about this. And hey, like I said, someone who doesn't follow Logan Paul outside, I'll always give him credit when it comes to what he can do in the WWE ring, because he is certainly impressive. And then we had that, and of course LA Knight, he comes out in Logan Paul's vehicle and destroys it, because once again, if you're a longtime wrestling fan that's watched over the last several decades, you know, bringing a custom vehicle to WWE on the show never ends well. All right, so then from there, we got Logan Paul and LA Knight. They just began fighting on the outside of the ring, and eventually LA Knight does a neck breaker onto the announce table, and then the match gets officially underway once he throws Logan Paul in there. Man, this match was fun. It really was. A lot of great back and forth. Crowd heat was amazing. Logan Paul, he does this amazing move. Getting back to what I said, he does this amazing move where I think, at least the way I got it in my notes, he jumps onto the middle rope and then jumps and twists backwards onto the top rope, and then from the top rope ends up going ahead and turning it into a moonsault off the top rope onto LA Knight to the outside. Crazy athleticism, man. And we even get another crazy move where you have LA Knight doing a brain buster onto Logan Paul off the top rope. Looked nasty, but much props to LA Knight being able to go ahead and pull that off without breaking Logan Paul's neck. So that just shows you once again why you gotta take these what these professional wrestlers do, man. It ain't easy, and when they can make it look as flawless as that without injuring their opponent, truly amazing. And then from there, we get the whole thing, where LA Knight, he goes out and he attacks Logan Paul's friends because they're always trying to give the brass knucks and all that stuff. And instead, when LA Knight gets taken out by Logan Paul, it's Machine Gun Kelly that supplies the brass knucks to Logan Paul, and he uses it to hit LA Knight. And from there, he drops the evidence, and Logan Paul goes for the butt-shot lariat. Or did I say right? Buckshot lariat, right? Okay, whatever. We're live, pal. Buckshot lariat, only to get hit with a blunt force trauma by LA Knight before the clothesline can even connect, hitting the 1, 2, 3 with the pinfall and becoming the new WWE United States Champion, thus making LA Knight ends up winning his first championship of any kind in WWE. Like I said, this was a very fun match, very well worked. In terms of the mainstream attention that Logan Paul got as United States Champion for WWE, I greatly appreciate it. Whatever helps the brand constantly get out there and make it bigger among global audiences. That being said, 2 title defenses and nearly a year-long reign. That's a no for me. That's a no for me. I mean, hey, I didn't even give Roman Reigns a pass. As much as I love the tribal chief character and Roman Reigns as a performer and the whole bloodline storyline, I did think the lack of title defenses was getting ridiculous, so I'm not going to give it a pass here with Logan Paul. I would have at least appreciated 1 title defense every month. Yeah, even year would have been worse, right? But that being said, I'm glad to see LA Knight finally get his United States Championship, and it really goes to as a testament to show LA Knight as a performer and how well he is, because when it comes to LA Knight, this is a guy who got super over last year, and fans were begging for them to do something with him, and I was there for SummerSlam 2023. I was in the streets of Detroit, Michigan, and it was, like I said in my review last year, it was a let me talk to you there. Everyone was spouting this guy's catchphrases all over the streets of Detroit, and to be honest, WWE never really did much with LA Knight after, I would say, losing to Roman with the world title, yet despite it, he still stayed hot with the audience. LA Knight was still getting loud reactions, and it showed that the audience was willing to be loyal to this guy. They understand the talent and the entertainment value that an LA Knight brings to the product, and there you go, United States Champion, and I thought that was fantastic. Finally, and hopefully maybe this can project him later on to becoming a world champion. So definitely very well earned from LA Knight. He worked hard to get in this position, and I'm definitely looking forward, like I said, when Logan Paul gets back in the ring for some more great action. He never fails to disappoint in the ring. All right, our next match was for the WWE Women's Championship. Bayley defending the title against the Queen of the Ring, Nia Jax. All right, this match was very good. In fact, I say even better than their first match back in London in NXT almost 10 years ago. I think both women have grown tremendously a lot. So as far as the story in terms of the, performance in the ring and everything, the story of the match was basically Bayley doing everything she can do to survive against Nia Jax, who was completely being the dominant force. Nia in this match, she was breaking out all the classics from a lot of legends. She broke out Rikishi Stink Face. She broke out Ted DiBiase's $1 Million Dream. She broke out Umaga's Hip Attack, and even modern day legends. She broke out Kevin Owens' Pump Up Power Bomb. So I thought that was pretty cool to see all those tributes to the legends and stuff like that, and even current day superstars from Nia Jax. Bayley, she was very impressive in this match herself, such as kicking out of Nia Jax's Banzai drop, which I don't think maybe outside of Rhea Ripley has not been done yet since Nia Jax returned to the company almost a year ago. And there's even a point where she gets Nia off the top of the rope, and she has her on her shoulders, holding her in like the powerbomb position, walks forward in the middle of the ring and slams her with the powerbomb. Impressive strength from Bayley. Bayley's not a one to do a lot of power moves in the ring, but it's cool to see that she does have that strength. So yeah, like I said, both women were definitely working hard to put on a great match here, and I really appreciate that. Eventually, both women are down, and Tiffany Stratton comes out to tease a cash-in, but Bayley stops her, and Bayley stops her, and it's Nia Jax who then takes advantage of this, and hits Bayley, like I said, with a pump-up powerbomb as mentioned earlier. And from here, Nia, she does not one, but two Banzai drops to get the 1, 2, 3 and win the WWE Women's Championship. I love it from a storytelling standpoint. Hey, the Banzai drop, and Nia sold it. She was like, what? I can't believe someone kicked out of my Banzai drop. And she went ahead, got that second Banzai drop in, and she's like, I'm going to make sure I put you down for good. And I thought this was great. Yeah, you know what? I'm happy. Bayley got a great reign, I think, from WrestleMania up till now in terms of matches. Sure, the stories could have been a lot more better and everything, but overall, it was good to see Bayley get rewarded by the company for all the hard work she's done over the last decade. And to Nia's credit, I think Nia's improved a lot. I mean, tremendously. Look at her. She's gotten in the best shape I think we've ever seen her in WWE. She has definitely not gone ahead, and even though they worked it into the storyline with Bayley about you being reckless and clumsy, aside from that Banzai drop she gave to Rhea on her first night back, and I think maybe the one she did with Lyra Valkyria was intentional, because obviously Lyra was okay. Overall, I would say looking at that, Nia Jax basically has improved tremendously over her first run in WWE. And given that, Bianca and Rhea Ripley, who have pretty much been positioned as the top two alpha females, top two female stars, in fact, of the current women's division, with both of them not being world champions right now, I think it's a good time to, hey, let's put this title. We gave the title some chance to Bayley. Now let's go ahead and give a chance to Nia Jax to be world champion. And I think it's very well earned. I'm very happy for Nia Jax, very proud of what Bayley and Nia Jax did in this match. So yeah, I can't really complain. And obviously, I think we're headed towards a Nia Jax versus Charlotte Flair. It's going to be the old Queen versus the Queen match. So no doubt that's going to be coming up soon. Let me take a break here to get some water. All right, a match that I know we all were waiting for. CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre with the special guest referee, Seth Rollins. All right, it's crazy to think that this was CM Punk's first SummerSlam match since facing Brock Lesnar 11 years ago, which was by far an all-time classic, one of the greatest SummerSlam matches in history. And indeed, on top of that, they were mentioning how this was CM Punk's first match in 10 and a half years since he faced Billy Gunn, So, man, that tells you how far it's been since CM Punk's been in a one-on-one match, at least in terms of WWE programming. So CM Punk came out in Bret Hart inspired gear, and the audience, they were really hot for this. They were, from start to finish, but both of them just started hammering one another, which is good because anyone who's watched my reviews over the years, I don't like when there's a blood feud and the first thing to do is a collar and elbow tie up. No, you need to start going ham, just start swinging. And that's exactly what we got at the beginning of this match. So yeah, looking at it, it looked like, I think CM Punk looked really good in the match. CM Punk, I looked like he was careful to not land on his arms. I could be wrong. That's just what I was observing. Obviously he's coming back, so I think, Punk definitely wanted to take it, definitely wanted to be careful in this match, and you could tell Drew also, was being careful. It was very well thought out spots I was looking at in this match, because honestly, these guys really didn't do a whole lot of special, a whole lot of fancy stuff. It was just really basic stuff, and it worked, because that's what I always say. That's the power of character and story work, is that when your character and your storytelling is so over with the audience, very little is all that's needed to get over. Audience was chin. This is awesome, and I think that's fantastic. And yeah, so basically, both kept running into issues with Seth Rollins pretty much throughout the entire match, as far as what Seth Rollins would and wouldn't allow. And CM Punk, he's looking good so far. Yeah, I was saying, I already went through that in my notes. Next part I'm on. So yes, I love the pop that he was getting for the simple storytelling of Punk grabbing the bracelet back. So that pretty much was the big story of the match throughout the rest of it, was the bracelets. Because at one point, CM Punk, he has Drew in the Anaconda Vice, and Drew, he's about to tap out, and Punk's got this match win. But CM Punk notices, because as the hand's about to get ready to tap out, he looks and he notices that's where, and shout out, the WWE production team has been on fire, because they were getting these shots good. Drew is about to tap out, CM Punk notices the bracelet on his hand, around his wrist, and so he lets go of the Anaconda Vice, and he grabs the bracelet back, because CM Punk is letting his emotions get the better of him. He didn't want to wait for Drew to tap out first, and then he grabs the bracelet back. And there's even a point where Punk gets knocked down, the bracelet ends up on the canvas, and so Seth Rollins, he picks it up and starts wearing the bracelet. And I said to my friends here in a chat, yeah, this was kind of sus by Seth, because most times if you've noticed, when referees pick up things that belong to other wrestlers in the ring, they put it in their back pocket, or they'll go ahead and give it to the ring announcer / timekeeper to keep it until the wrestler is ready to get it up. But he ends up wearing it. So I can't blame CM Punk, because CM Punk thought Seth is trying to play games with him, because he knows how much there's so much heat between him and Seth Rollins. Now, obviously in the story, Seth meant well by it, but yeah, Punk's not taking it that way. So I can't blame him for that. Eventually, this leads to a confrontation where CM Punk is giving Seth Rollins the GTS. Well, yeah, he gives him the GTS, and then Drew McIntyre is able to take advantage of this and hit the Claymore to CM Punk, and he gets a pinfall victory via Seth Rollins, who basically is very woozy, but he counts the 1, he counts the 2, and he's hesitant, but he even goes ahead and counts the 3, leading to Drew McIntyre winning the match and taking CM Punk's bracelet. And that was pretty much the story of the match. Man, this was excellent storytelling. Anyone who knows, when it comes to my content about reviewing WWE, I love storytelling, and I love when those characters are compelling and they put on together a match that is befitting of the compelling story that they were telling. And that's what it was. CM Punk was so caught up into his own emotions that he lost his eye. He took his eye off the prize, which was defeating Drew McIntyre. And as Seth Rollins told him, your consequences, he said, your actions have consequences. And boy, did they ever in this match. CM Punk's actions is the reason he lost his first one-on-one match on WWE programming. I'm not including those house shows he had with Dominik, but wow, this was definitely tremendous. Now, I think this was definitely the right move here, because very much like Rhea Ripley losing earlier, you can have CM Punk lose this first match and build off this feud in the fall with Drew and Seth, and you can culminate at least the Drew and CM Punk portion of the storyline. You can conclude include that at Bad Blood in Hell in a Cell, because this is a feud that is definitely worthy of Hell in a Cell. And I also can't blame WWE here, because let's face it, if you've been following CM Punk's career, even going into AEW before coming back to WWE, CM Punk over the last 2 years, 2 or 3 years, he's had injuries. Now, I personally hope that these were just freak injuries that happen, and that they did not happen because his body is failing him, and it's failing to keep up with just the sheer nature of pro wrestling. Well, thankfully, it looks like CM Punk got out of this healthy with no injuries, and that's exactly what I want to see, because there's a lot of money on the line in terms of big money matches and big feuds that CM Punk can have, and having a really great all-time final run here in WWE. Especially, hey, it's still not too late. I would love to see Stone Cold Steve Austin and CM Punk go one-on-one. Even Austin started teasing that, hey, since he lives in Nevada and that's where WrestleMania 41 is taking place, he would think, yeah, maybe he wants to be a part of that show. And so, yeah, but it makes sense, because if you're WWE, you want to test the waters first. Let's say Punk won this match and you had big plans for him, but he ended up getting injured. That kind of messes their plans up again. But here, if Punk did get injured, well, and still lost the match, well, you can keep telling it narratively with Drew McIntyre. You can go on and talk about how he got rid of Punk and he's done. He made sure Punk is retired at this point. But obviously they don't have to tell that story. Punk is good, so I can't blame WWE for wanting to take the safe route just in case. So yeah, like I said, I hope Punk can now put those freak injuries behind him, and hey, nothing but a great final run in WWE awaits. All right, our next match, which was the co-main event, was for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Damian Priest versus the Ring General and the King of the Ring, Gunther. All right. So, man, I am so glad to see this match, because when Seth Rollins came back, I was thinking, oh, they're going to do what Vince McMahon back in his time of his later years of booking would have done a lot, which was like, okay, let's take the more established star. And I understand you have to use the established star to get the younger, newer talent over, just like they did with The Rock at SummerSlam being the established star to help put over Brock Lesnar. But there were also times a lot where it felt like, man, we're kind of going back to the same old established stars. And it's like, unless you put these new talents, these new guys and gals in these high profile positions, how are they ever going to get over to that next level? So I was glad to see Damian Priest win, because what we have here in this match was a first-time world champion taking on a first-time #1 contender for the world championship. So I'm like, man, this is awesome. This is Triple H taking, hey, you two guys are new to our main event scene, and this is your opportunity to go out on a big 4 pay-per-view and lay it all down the line. And I thought they did a great job. I thought the build-up was good, and the match itself, man, it was awesome. This is something right here that we saw with Damian Priest, man, because he was really taking it to Gunther in this match. I think more so since the last time we seen Gunther in this much trouble in the ring was probably against Sheamus. Gunther already had a pretty bruise on him from his previous match with Finn Balor, and it was bleeding heavily all through this match and everything. So it was really good to see, and there was a lot of great back and forth action. Of course, though, the big story of the match comes when Finn Balor comes out to the ring, and you can just imagine this was going to be Shenanigan City, which it was. So eventually, Damian Priest, he starts unloading a lot of big shots on Gunther, and he hits Gunther with the South of Heaven choke slam. And I was a little confused at this point, because instead of Gunther rolling over to the ring, you end up getting Damian Priest pushing him into the ring. And I was like, wait a minute, hold on. If Gunther is in the middle of the ring, why wouldn't you just go for the pinfall? Why are you rolling him to potentially put his foot on the rope? Now, I don't know if there was just some sort of miscue, and obviously with what happened next, that's why they had to do it. But yeah, that kind of just threw me off. But anyway, nonetheless, Damian Priest, he goes for the pinfall with Gunther now closer to the ropes, and it's from here that Finn Balor places Gunther's legs on the rope. And then they replay it, and on the big screen, Damian Priest, he realizes exactly what's going to go down. And hold on, we have a commenter here. Let's go ahead and show here What do we have here? Roman Reigns still looks good and will always be the tribal chief. He is a great athlete. Hey, Patricia, thank you so much for coming by the stream, and I agree. Roman Reigns, definitely tribal chief. I'll be speaking more about him later on in this review. But yeah, thank you for coming by the stream and commenting. And then from here, getting back to the Damian Priest match here with Finn Balor. So we get this thing here where Gunther puts Damian Priest into the sleeper hold, and man, when he gets put into the sleeper, wow, they did a great job with the camera action here. Like Damian Priest and Finn Balor are just like kind of giving each other death stares. Damian Priest is fading out, and Finn Balor's just looking devious. It's very similar to the death stare Finn Balor was giving him 1 year prior at SummerSlam 2023. And I gotta be honest, they had me here. I thought this is how the match was gonna end, and out of nowhere, when he goes for the referee goes for the arm drop, Damian Priest is like, no, I'm not in it, and the audience is trying to rile up Damian Priest, and I'm like, oh snap, are they actually gonna do it? Are they actually gonna have Damian Priest win here? And he gets up, and when he finally gets breaks out of Gunther's hold, man, Gunther, instead of finishing off Gunther, he goes for Finn Balor. Damian Priest goes for Finn Balor and goes ahead and just starts choking him. And that's where Gunther's able to come back, hit the power bomb, and put him into yet again another sleeper hold. And from there, this time, Damian Priest is fading. He's fading, and they're doing these great shots of Finn Balor just giving him this evil death stare. Go to sleep, just go to sleep. That's pretty much what his face was saying. And you have Damian Priest, and he finally fades off, and then the referee checks the arm, and that's it. Damian Priest is out. So the last thing Damian Priest saw before he was fading out is Finn Balor, the person he considered a brother, looking at him evil. You know, this was like Simba and Mufasa. Think about Mufasa in The Lion King, when Mufasa's like, brother, help me. And then, he ends up putting his claws into Mufasa, and he says, long live the king. And he basically just lets him go, and you see that part where the last thing he sees is his brother betraying him as he falls and gets trampled to death by the wildebeest. That's kind of what it reminded me of for all my Disney and WWE fans out there. But as a result, we now have a new WWE World Heavyweight Champion, the King of the Ring and the Ring General, Gunther. And from there, Gunther basically, it looks like he celebrated with his, I think that was either his girlfriend or wife and another guy that was probably a good friend or a family member of his, and he even gets on the announce table with the World Championship. What I really like about Gunther's rise, it felt to me like that ladder rise, basically, that we used to get so often in WWE. I miss those days when you would have someone come in like Gunther. He came in, got a big push, then he got an Intercontinental Championship, and he was booked strong as the Intercontinental Champion. And then he got the King of the Ring win to go ahead and justify him getting into a big match at SummerSlam for the world title, and then he wins the World Championship. I miss that build, and I'm hoping that we see more of it. I want to see LA Knight and Bron Breakker built up like that as well with their mid-card champions. It just is so good, because back going into like the Vince McMahon era in later his years, there were times where you would have say like AJ Styles or Kevin Owens, people who would kind of win their world championships pretty early into their runs, and then they lose, and after about like a 6-month reign or so, they lose their title, and then they would kind of get these mid-card title reigns. Even AJ Styles, he ended up having a year-long reign, but then after that, they were kind of like just in the mid-card championship for years to come, and it just felt like it should have been the opposite. You should have built them up with the mid-card titles and world titles. Now, I obviously understand why they wanted to push AJ Styles, a lot more sooner right off the bat, but I think it just works so much more effective when you have somebody build up to the mid-card championship, and it sort of preps them for the world championship. So it was good to see that, and it was good to see this full circle coming 1 year, they came full circle 1 year around, because that was the story last year. Finn Balor and Damian Priest were at odds. Finn Balor didn't know if Damian Priest was gonna go ahead and try to screw him over with the briefcase and stuff like that, and you saw that death stare he gave him, but they worked it out, and they were cool for almost a better part of a year, to the point where it made it look like WWE forgot, and they were just cool. And then we came back around where they started teasing dissension, and then there you go, Finn Balor has cost Damian Priest the championship. And this goes back to what I was going to say earlier with Rhea and Damian Priest. The Judgment Day was really cool because it really breathed new life into Finn Balor, and it really allowed Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley to develop themselves as characters on these shows, and as a result, they became way more popular than they were before, and it really helped them as those performers. And I think what's happened here is you could kind of say they've outgrown the Judgment Day. They've outgrown them in the sense that Rhea is a popular babyface that can go solo now. She doesn't need Dominik Mysterio or the Judgment Day anymore. Damian Priest doesn't need the Judgment Day anymore. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm pretty sure behind the scenes they're all like family. But in terms of what we are seeing on this show from a character and story standpoint, I think it's time. It's time for Damian and Rhea to go solo. They'll be just fine. I don't think this is necessarily the end of the Judgment Day. For all we know, hey, this is probably Liv Morgan being brought into the Judgment Day, and what we're going to have is now a new Judgment Day. So I think what we've seen here is Rhea and Damian both being what's the word? I believe it's exiled. Yes, they've been exiled from the Judgment Day. So that's what it looks like. I definitely think this is the right move. Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley, like I said, they both really have come a long way since then. So I thought a lot of great stuff was effective here, and this was one of those matches I wasn't sure. Like, I figured if Damian Priest won here, he for sure wasn't gonna win in the next pay-per-view where I think they're going to Bash and Burlem. So it looks like Gunther is going to enter his home country as the champion. So yeah, that was really good. Now, before we get to the main event, let me go ahead and just get a sip of water here. All right, now it's time for the main event, the undisputed WWE Championship, the actual second Bloodline Rules match ever as well, Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa. All right, so Solo Sikoa comes out alone. However, it is Cody Rhodes who gets the dramatic entrance, walking his dog Pharaoh. And when I saw this, once again, if you're also someone who watches AEW as well, you had to be like me, where I'm like, please don't bring out Pharaoh. Please don't bring Pharaoh out, because, you know, Cody Rhodes has a ton of pyro, and man, I felt so bad for his dog Pharaoh because he was absolutely terrified of those fireworks. So thankfully they didn't end up bringing him out for this. He ended up staying backstage. This is apparently Pharaoh's last tour, because Cody Rhodes mentioned that I think he's getting a lot older now and everything. So that's cool though, but it's great, you know, having pets and everything with you is always fantastic. And what we get here is he actually ends up running into the returning Arn Anderson, who we haven't seen in WWE in years. And Arn Anderson, of course, gives him a prep talk and says that he's got some friends backstage. And then from there, Cody gets his entrance gear on and exits the gorilla position, and goes out into the audience in the main stadium. So as far as when the match starts off with Solo Sikoa, he's actually holding his own against Cody Rhodes, showing that he's learned from their previous encounter. And for most of this match, Solo Sikoa basically utilizes his power to dominate Cody Rhodes and is trash talking him along the way. Eventually, though, Cody Rhodes does get the upper hand and hits Solo Sikoa with the Crossroads, only for the Tonga brothers. Was it Tonga Loa and Tonga? I probably mispronounced those names, but yeah, the Tonga brothers, they come out and make it a 3-on-1 beatdown, and finally they're taking advantage of the Bloodline Rules. You gotta love it when you have the opportunity to do this, but the heel, if you know you're gonna cheat from the start, why not just do it from the start? So it is what it is. But yeah, from here we get Kevin Owens makes his return, which goes back to what Arn Anderson was saying about Cody having friends in the backstage. Kevin Owens, he tries his best to fight both Tongans by himself, but to no avail. Then Randy Orton, he ends up coming out and eventually leading to Randy and KO hitting the RKO and stunner combination on the Tongas. And from here, Cody Rhodes, he ends up taking advantage of the Bloodline Rules as well. and I believe he hit Solo. He hit Solo with the crossroads. But basically Solo ends up kicking out, and eventually Randy Orton and Kevin Owens, they run off the Tonga brothers. So we're getting something similar to what we got here in the WrestleMania match. So from here, the match comes back to one-on-one, and Cody, he brutalizes Solo with the steel steps. And just when Cody Rhodes is about to finish Solo Sikoa off with 3 crossroads, because he hits the first and the second one, he ends up going for that third one, but Jacob Fatu interferes and takes Cody Rhodes, who, by the way, I gotta say, Jacob Fatu in this whole new storyline with the Bloodline, as far as Bloodline 2.0, has to me been the absolute standout. I heard a lot about this guy from both an in-ring standpoint and from a mic skill standpoint, and he definitely to me has been the standout when it comes here. So now that being said, Cody Rhodes, he ends up basically, when Jacob Fatu, he ends up putting Cody Solo on top of Cody, which creates a great near fall, and Cody, from when Cody gets his shoulder up. From here, the beat down on Cody Rhodes continues with Jacob Fatu as he puts Cody on top of the announce table, followed by a flying splash from the top rope, from the top turnbuckle to Cody through the announce table. Unfortunately here, it looks like Jacob Fatu may have gotten injured. I haven't checked to see what sites like NoDQ.com, shout out to NoDQ.com and Aaron Riff and the good folks over there. I haven't checked anything like that to see if there's been any injuries, so obviously I'll know once I'm done with this review. But it didn't look good here, because I'm hoping Jacob was selling, but Jacob was holding his ankle, and there's a point where he tries to get up and he falls down. Now, I don't think I remember seeing the referees rush over to him, but for the rest of the match, they don't linger on Jacob Fatu at all. And once again, for those of us who have watched pro wrestling for a long time, we know that if they don't linger on an injury, then it's not part of an angle. Like, look at Bianca Belair last year in the triple threat match. They lingered on her forever, and that's how we knew, okay, she was just selling the leg. Here, they weren't doing that at all, and that would really suck, because like I said, Jacob Fatu has been the absolute standout for this Bloodline 2.0, so I would hate to see that that he's got to miss time during this also important introduction establishment to him as a character. So then from there, the match goes back into the ring, but Solo, he still can't put Cody Rhodes away. But then the moment happens. The head of the table music hits. That awesome theme song with everyone throwing their hands in the air, or, throwing their ones up in the air. We get the return of Roman Reigns with a new t-shirt that says OTC, most likely standing for Original Tribal Chief. Man, this one got me popping. I knew it was gonna happen. It was obviously building up, but when the moment happens, man, as a fan, it just got me out of my seat, going like, let's go, Roman Reigns back, let's go. Like, man, I was getting excited to see this. Roman Reigns, he gets to the ring and he's walking down there slowly, and it's almost, they're saying, what side is he on? Which side is he on? Is he on Cody's side, the man that took the title away from him, or is he on Solo's side? Or is he, or is he on, Solo's side and everything, who's now said he's a tribal chief and has been talking a bunch of trash about him. It really felt a lot like going back, if you're a 90s wrestling fan, you remember in NWO, when the NWO was formed, the night that it happened, Hogan's coming out there, and on commentary, they're like, which side is he on? Is he the third man? That's kind of what it reminded me of. And so things happen. We find out very quickly whose side Roman is on, at least for this match, because, man, Roman Reigns gets in the ring and he wastes no time. Boom! Superman punch to Solo Sikoa, and he's talking trash like only Roman Reigns can talk trash. And the audience is going wild, and he does the ooh ah, and then bam, nails Solo with the spear. I'm like, let's go. And I was just, like I said, as a fan, I was just, man, I was happy. I was jumping out of my seat. I was like, what you think it was? Solo? So it's great when yes, obviously pro wrestling's predetermined and all that stuff, but it's great when these moments get you so hyped up that you just get into the moment of it. And man, it was just great to see. Solo Sikoa finally, paying for all the trash he's been talked about Roman Reigns. And as we get to the end of the match here, Roman Reigns then looks at Cody Rhodes, and Roman Reigns basically nods his head in approval and gives Cody Rhodes respect. And Roman at this point, basically, he exits the ring, and Cody Rhodes is surprised. And this from here that he's able to go over to Solo, pick him up, and hits one more crossroads to get the 1, 2, 3 and retain the undisputed WWE Championship, as I figured he would, because you just don't have Roman Reigns go on this grandiose run of almost nearly 4 years and then have him lose, and then Cody loses in like 4 months. No, you got to really at least probably have him at least a year-long reign or afterwards to really justify that, hey, it means something to beat this guy. And I don't expect Cody Rhodes to really lose the championship at least until The Rock gets back, from the way they left off from teasing that story. And then as we as they go off the air here, what you end up getting is a lot of Cody Rhodes celebrating with the championship in the ring, looking at Roman, and Roman looking back at Cody, and it's sort of like this look of respect, and the commentators are playing this like, who would have ever thought that Roman Reigns, after everything he's been through with Cody, would come out to help him. And it's going to be fun. Like, is this a case of Roman helping Cody and doing the right thing, having a change of heart, or is it just Roman wanting to handle his family business, and hey, if Cody's a champion and this is what it's about, go ahead and handle your business now and retain your title. So I really like the way it played off the dynamics, and we get, of course, this ending shot of Solo Sikoa. You can hear him screaming. He's just yelling, "You are dead, Roman! You are dead!" I'm like, man, you can see, man. He's like, "You're dead," you know, like, dang, he is livid, and Roman paying him no attention. What I did notice, though, in this shot is that Jacob Fatu is still favoring his ankle while he's sitting right next to, I forgot to change the graphic here. We're live, pal. I forgot to change the graphic here. But I was so caught up into the moment of this. Yeah. But that being said, yes, we get this ending shot here of Solo. Basically, yeah, while he's on the ground selling, you have Jacob who is still favoring his legs. So, like I said, man, I just really hope for Jacob Fatu that that's just really good selling, you know, because obviously I think they would have had the doctors and the referees there if it was something like that, because I don't know if maybe Jacob Fatu was the one that was supposed to get hit with the Superman punch and the spear, and Roman Reigns is going to go ahead and let Cody do that to Solo Sikoa, but so that way nobody touches Solo. But I think, and maybe if they felt, hey, Jacob Fatu, he can't get up in the ring, we're going to have to change plans last minute. Maybe they told Roman to go out there, hey, Solo, we're going to change plans. Roman's going to now hit all his signature and finishing moves on you. So, who knows from there. But yeah, man, I will definitely say this was not as good as the first Bloodline Rules match from WrestleMania 40 that we saw this year, but in terms of the ending and the storytelling, man, it was absolutely fantastic, and it kind of did what it needed to do. It did what it needed to do. It reestablished Roman Reigns as a babyface, and it's so good to now see Roman Reigns as a babyface being organically cheered. I don't think we've seen Roman Reigns organically cheered like this as a babyface going back to since his early days of breaking up with the Shield, right before they brought him back to do the whole succotash thing. I'm talking about like that mid to late 2014s era of Roman Reigns when he was just starting out. That's the last time we really saw him get cheered organically as a babyface, at least on a consistent basis. So now it's glad to see that Roman Reigns has become that top babyface that Vince McMahon always wanted to make him. But as many fans said, myself included, Roman had to be that heel first to really, show his personality, let him be himself, and he got over with the audience. Fans respect him, and now he can be that true babyface that he was always truly meant to be. So overall, this really set things up nicely heading into the fall. I'm looking forward to this next civil war of the bloodline, seeing the old bloodline versus the new bloodline and the twists and the turns that it's going to take, and how does Roman eventually get back, get the old band back together with the Usos and even Sami, War Games. And obviously I think The Rock still plays a major role in all this, for I think he is the one who is pulling the strings when it comes to the new bloodline. So it's an exciting time, and that's what this show did. This show overall really set up things nicely for where we're going into the fall, and I think that's what you can look for. There's a lot of things looking forward for the fall. Triple H and his creative team are not taking their gas off the pedals, and that's what I think is most fantastic. So overall, really enjoyed SummerSlam from top to bottom. Excellent matches where every single match had a great story to tell and further sets things up for where we are going. Now, if you'd like to see how I rank these matches for WWE SummerSlam 2024, click the link right there on the screen. Also, make sure to comment below what you thought of the show as well, and like and share. Plus, take care, and I'll see you next time.